What's going on, YouTube? I hope you're having a fantastic Monday. Before we get into the video, I just want to say a couple things. Hopefully, first off, I hope you're having a great day. Like I just said, you all deserve it. Hope you're having a great holiday. It should be Martin Luther King Jr., Milk Day, you know, that kind of stuff. So I hope you're having a great holiday, maybe a 4-day weekend if you're go to school like me. Hope you're having a great day. Second off, huge shout out to my buddy Josh for helping make this video happen. If it wasn't for him, this video would not be airing. I wouldn't have a gun or BBs or batteries to test either rifle with. So, with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. What we have today are two rifles with two different price ranges. Mine being I believe it's 150 new. At the time I got it, it was 200. So beginner rifle. It's the G&G Combat Machine. You've seen it everywhere. It's pretty basic rifle, not a lot of whistles to it. Pretty affordable for most people. This is what you're going to start out with. Most people start out with. And the rifle that I posted with me on Instagram being buddy Josh's $600 Custom EMG Warthog. Thing's a beast, not gonna lie. Very, very nice rifle. Very comfy, very nice rifle. So, like I said, huge shout out to Josh for providing the gun and 5,000 rounds and batteries. First off, let's talk differences. I guess that's what the whole video is going to be about. It's a comparison, right? So there's going to be a lot of differences between something like this and something like this. There's going to be a lot of little things here and there that may offset or may make the price of $600 more reasonable. So, first, quick disclaimer. This is not mine. You know, like I've said 2 times, this is not mine. But the G&G is. So, I might be a little bit biased. I kind of rep G&G. They make great guns. But, first thing off the bat is price. Because that's the first thing people see when they go shopping for airsoft guns is the price. Of course, you see the picture of the gun and the gun looks awesome, but your wallet does not agree with that. The base EMG Warthog, because this is a custom rifle, this is not what you will get when you buy a Warthog. This is like $300 worth of custom parts and stuff, etc. to the gun. But the base EMG Warthog, I believe, was around $340, $350 price on e-bike, whereas the Combat Machine is $150 for just the gun. We're talking just the gun, not packages, not anything else, just the base gun. And also, before I get ahead of myself, the actual EMG Warthog that he purchased was a SBR version, short barrel rifle, so the barrel ended about here. So this was something he added on. We'll talk about it later. But the base gun, huge price difference. Warthog is about twice of the Combat Machine. And you may wonder why. And it's not just the externals, that it's a metal body and stuff like that. It's the entire gun in general. So let's start out with what your typical base beginner gun would have. Of course, this gun's about 5 years old, maybe a little less, give or take. I've had it basically as long as I've been in airsoft. So technology has advanced. So the baseline Combat Machine now is going to have things that this doesn't. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to be talking about this model. So this is not just any Combat Machine, it is the cm16 Carbine. And basically all that means is that it's the Carbine version of the M4, which gives you these classic retro looking handguards and your law enforcement stock, and you get a carry handle. So carry handle right here, it's that little, externally it is completely polymer, buffer tube is metal, magazine catch and release is metal, selector switch metal, dust cover metal, forward assist metal, sling loop also metal, outer barrel and triangle sight, of course, metal. Oh, and your charging handle is metal as well. So for $150, that's gonna be pretty typical. You're gonna have a polymer body AEG with metal where it counts. So metal gearbox, of course, metal barrel, metal buffer tube. Hopefully that's what you'll get spending $150, $200 on an airsoft gun. But you step into the next level, and then you're gonna get something like this. So the EMG Warthog came with a metal SBR rail. I think it was a 10-inch rail, 10 or 11-inch rail. Comes with a metal upper and lower receiver. Buffer tube is very much metal. Charging handle, metal. Basically the same thing, except the body, the upper and lower receiver, is going to be metal on something like this in comparison to the combat machine. Does that really matter? Not totally. If you're really after the full metal AR, like real steel stuff, maybe it's worth it. Remember, we're talking baseline $300 for just the base gun. We're not talking custom yet. So if you're really after that whole full metal stuff, maybe it is worth it. Maybe not. Something to note is that polymer is lighter. So if you are not the strongest individual, maybe you might want to look at a polymer upper and lower instead, because it will be just a little bit lighter. So next, we're going to talk internals. Start off with my G&G. You're going to have this dust cover does not, charging handle does nothing, by the way. So just make note of that. And the dust cover stays closed. So while you're shooting, if you're trying to adjust your hop up, you will have to get a nail, most likely, and kind of pry it open. So while you're playing airsoft and you have your gloves on and stuff, I know from experience, it's not the easiest thing to adjust your hop up on the fly. And looking in, you have your very traditional hop up unit. It works, it hops my BBs, and that's about it. Nothing fancy. You got your G&G green bucking in there, pretty good bucking, pretty decent hop up unit. It works. In comparison, you spend $300 on the Warthog, you will get a rotary style hop up unit. Let's see if this will focus. There we go. I don't know if you can see it in there, but it is a rotary style hop up, and it is much easier to adjust. Also, you get it so the dust cover closes when you're not using it, then you pull the charging handle, you have the mock bolt, and it stays back. Honestly, that's probably the most convenient feature about this gun, is just the fact that it has the mock bolt and that it stays open to where you can adjust it, and when you're done, you hit the bolt release, right? So you hit it, closes, and you're done, and you can leave it like that. I've had other rifles other than the G&G, and so typically you have the mock bolt, and when you go to change the hop up, you pull it back and you have to hold it back. Well, trying to do that and adjust the hop up is surprisingly difficult sometimes. So having this feature of the mock bolt locking back when you pull the charging handle is super handy, and plus it's fun, it's cool. Having a mock bolt, you can just having a bolt release, for that matter, that actually does bolt release things. It's really, really cool. You can flex on your friends and stuff. It's fun. I love it. Next off, we're going internals on this. Metal gearbox, of course. That's pretty standard nowadays. Metal gearbox, probably 18-to-1 gears. You got a hybrid motor. Nothing fancy. Everything's pretty typical. The barrel is not going to be a tight bore. It's going to be probably a 6.8, 6.010, 6.10. Something like that. It's not going to be the greatest. It's something you're probably going to want to upgrade. But if I haven't mentioned anything yet, this is completely stock, by the way. So I haven't changed anything. Only thing I've added is the red dot and the flashlight. So in case I haven't mentioned that already, completely stock. If not, it's going to be in the title. So there's really not a lot to write home about when it comes to the combat machine. It's a very basic AEG. It works very well, and G&G always makes very high quality guns. It lasts forever. I've never had a single issue with this rifle. The only issues that I have ran into, which we'll talk about later, were batteries, but stay tuned, we'll talk battery issues and stuff later. But other than that, you have the right battery combination, it will shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. It won't stop. It's almost like an AK-47 of the airsoft world. It will just keep going. It just keeps going. It doesn't care. You feed it crap BBs, doesn't matter. You give it a 11-1, it'll go all day. But on the side with the EMG Warthog, we have, I believe, a stock motor that came with it. I'm not 100% on what motor that is. I'm guessing it's some sort of hybrid. It may be on the more of a torquier side than the combat machine. I know the standard motor on it is not super torquey at all, but I'm guessing by the way it's shot, it's probably on the torquier side. But it still may be a hybrid motor. We're going to, I'm sure it's still stock 18-to-1 gears, but it has a micro trigger switch. And in case you don't know what that is, I'm going to flip it to semi. Don't worry, there's no battery. But listen to this. I don't know if you could hear that. Hopefully you did. But there is a micro switch, which means it helps your trigger response. So you'll have take up, take up, take up until you hit that switch. Once you hit that switch, that's right when it cycles. And it cycles fairly quickly on an 11-1. We also have, from what he told me, it's a bolt 6mm barrel. I haven't checked to see if that's actually a thing. I think it'd be more of a 6.1 because to me it just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. But right now it is chronoing at not 600 FPS, 420 or 30 FPS on .2s. So right now we're shooting pretty hot for most fields, CQB or outdoor. It's pretty up there. But internally wise, it's, even though it may have fairly standard internals, they're very well built, high-end internals. Something that, although G&G makes high-end internals as well and high-end guns, it's not the same. This is a more of a budget rifle, as this is like premium, I'd say even up there with Crytac, you know, high-end premium type guns. So this is stuff that you would expect coming from EMG and spending $300 on just the rifle. Okay, so we're still not going to custom just yet, although the type bore was custom. That's something he installed. But for the base gun, you're getting pretty a pretty beefy system, right? Really beefy. So, moving on to custom parts that he has put on this rifle. Is first, we'll go with external stuff. Honestly, I think the only internal thing that he's done is the tight bore, but, you know, Josh, if you see this, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I could be wrong, very much could be wrong. Probably should have asked you first. But externally, we have a quick detach flashlight, angled grip, pressure switch, flip up sights. I love these sights, by the way. Sights are awesome. I love iron sights, a good set of iron sights. And the most noticeable thing would have to be the key mod rail. I don't know exactly what brand. I don't think I asked. It doesn't really matter all that much. But it's a LVOA style rail. As you can see, it's got like that cutting edge, very aggressive, very, very cool. But it's in this tan. It's almost like Cerakoted. It's very, very nice looking rail system. I will give you props. But I believe he said that was like $100-something. So you decide whether that's worth it or not. I'll leave that to you. I'm not going to say anything. But I will say that is a very, very attractive looking rail. And externally, that is about it. Of course, you got the rear sight and the front sight. Looks like this. I love it. Absolutely love the sights. I love a good set of iron sights. It makes my day. And just the combination, the way he has it set up with the angled grip angling almost forward instead of back. As you can see, it's almost like a slight angle forward. It just fits perfectly. So when you mount the rifle, it feels so natural, so good. I love it. I love the way this rifle is set up. And the thinness of the rail just makes it that much better. But other than that, oh, and the grip. I think the grip is different. That I believe is all. And of course he took sandpaper to his buttstock, but that's not really custom. That's just kind of stupidity. I'm just kidding. You know I love you. And something quickly to mention. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I promise this is getting to a point. Although the rail looks, it makes the rifle look really long. Like it makes it look almost like DMR length. It is actually a very, you look at where the actual barrel ends, the barrel lengths are nearly identical. Even though his looks like a long schlong, it is actually very, very close in comparison to my carbine. So, that all out of the way, let's talk shooting in general. So sadly, although we got a 11-1, I was only able to do a very short amount of shooting with it. I know that my gearbox and motor setup and everything just kind of chows down on batteries. He munch, okay? He munch on batteries. And so when we were doing the testing, it was the day we received the other rifle and all the stuff to do it with. But I don't have a chrono, so I don't know where my G&G is shooting at, but it should be, according to my last chrono, around 370 to 380 in that area. So it shoots closer to the 400 mark. And of course his is shooting 420 as of 2 days ago, right? So that being said, the rate of fire is something else. I will play a clip. Let's see. Okay, there's two things, right? There's trigger response, and then there's not really a term for it, but it's the speed at which your system cycles. So the speed that your piston hits and then comes back and is ready again to shoot. So like, it's kind of hard to explain, but I have a terrible trigger response with this rifle, right? So the trigger response, it basically goes all the way back to this point, and then it will shoot, right? So not the worst, but not the best. Whereas his, like I mentioned earlier, has a micro switch. So you go back and there's a slight little click. And as soon as that click goes off, it cycles. So he has really, really good trigger response. But something I have noticed, and you'll see it in this clip, is that the speed at which my system, this motor, will spin the piston and all the gears to where it's a full cycle, in my opinion, is faster than the Warthog. Now that could be a couple of things. One, we're using 11.1 LiPo. That is high discharge, lots of volts, so it's supposed to do that. It doesn't matter what gun it does. It's going to speed up your, going to give you a little bit better trigger response and speed up the rate at which it cycles. Well, the other thing it could be is that with my stock internals, I don't know exactly what spring I'm pulling, but it may not be that heavy. And because my motor is probably more towards a lower torque, maybe a higher speed hybrid motor, and his is more towards the high torque, technically that means his should cycle faster. But I'm not sure. See it in the clip. The other thing is full auto. I'm sorry, but I really think the GNG pulls off the full auto. It just seems, it sounds like it might cycle just a hair faster. And that blows my mind because I've never shot my GNG on an 11mm LiPo, so I had no idea. I didn't know what to expect. I got really excited when I was shooting it because I was like amazed. You'll hear it in the little clip. I was amazed at how fast it really was with the 11.1 LiPo. And, you know, I've been trying to figure out a way to be able to compete with other people with higher end AEGs and Polar Stars and stuff. But with the 11.1 LiPo, it almost seems as if you don't need to really change the internals that much to get a higher rate of fire and a faster, you know, semi-auto. But that does run into a couple of issues. I don't have a MOSFET, so that can cause trigger arcing. But I've had it for many years now, and it's never caused an issue. There may be carbon buildup, there may be an issue I don't see yet. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to get an 11.1, and it's going to be awesome. But with the $600 custom beast this is, I'll be honest, I kind of expected more. Like, you're paying, let's say you're not going to do all this crazy stuff, you're paying $300 for a rifle. It should just freaking make a hose of BBs. It should be a BB hose, in my opinion. Like, it should shoot very, very fast and cycle a bit faster than I thought this thing was cycling. But that could just be me. Maybe 300 isn't that much to you. But to the people that are afraid to get into airsoft because it's so expensive, just know this AEG that's only 150, you can find others that are less with similar builds, it's not out of reach. So it really does come down to a lot of just skill and the right kind of battery, you know. But one issue we did run into is Josh also provided me with a 7.4 volt, 7,000 milliamp hour Titan battery. It's a lithium ion, not a LiPo. So these are like the Gucci batteries, right? I plan on getting one, but a 11.1 very shortly. But The issue I'm seeing with this is, I'll also play a clip of this, is that on my system, it just chugs. Rate of fire goes, both rifles, rate of fire just goes downhill and like hits a boom. Sucks. Terrible. The speed at which it cycles, garbage. I hate it. I can't stand it. And that's where I notice this one starts to really kind of go in its own league here. With the 7.4, with such a great trigger response, as soon as you hear that, you get to that little click, you won't hear it because it'll be shooting, but as soon as it gets to that little click, it cycles. And it's a lot better on a 7.4 than my GNG, because it's just so slow. It just chugs. It's awful. It's terrible. So that's something to note, is both the rate of fire on both guns on the 7.4 takes a massive nosedive, but the semi-auto on this rifle is where it kind of shines. On the 7.4, it takes the cake. So that's just something to note. Oh, other issue that we ran into that I don't know if Josh was aware of or not. This had nothing to do with, well, it may have something to do with the guns. So, Josh provided me also with magazines. There was one that was like a Lancer Tactical mid-cap, and there were a couple others that were different, but the rest were, from what he told me, were 6mm Pro Shop. Those things suck at feeding, okay? Like, Josh, when you're watching this, you gotta get rid of those mags and get something else, because that thing, this rifle, your rifle, does not like those 6mm Pro Shop mags. It hates it. Does not like it one bit. But I was lucky enough to have another friend come over while I was filming this, and he dropped by a P-Mag mid-cap. Very nice mag. This was the only mag out of all the things I had that would fit and feed in this rifle. Something I have noticed about it is that the mag well, there's something going on with it. Not the mag well itself, but the area where the magazine inserts. So it goes in, and this one clicks in correctly, and it's tight. It's in there all the way. It doesn't jiggle around. It's in there. Well, you get something, say like this mag. I believe this is a 6mm Pro Shop, I hope. If not, I'll look. Oh, this is a Lancer Tactical. What do you know? So you put this mag in it, and it clicks in, but it is so wobbly and loose, it wouldn't feed. To get it to feed, you'd have to push up on the bottom of the mag for the BBs to feed correctly. If not, you're not shooting anything. That's something I noticed, and it may or may not be the gun's fault. It could be the mags. But here's the thing. I put these mags in my GNG, and for the most part, they fed pretty okay. Like this one, you put in, it's a little loose, but it's no big deal. You put the P mag in, okay, so here's another 6mm Pro Shop. Fits in, it's a little loose, but for the most part, it feeds just fine. Put the P mag in. Perfect. Perfect fit. Fits just right. I love this mag. I'm probably gonna get some. These are awesome. And of course, as expected, you get my GNG mag, put it in, nothing. Perfect. Just like the P mag. On the contrary, I even get my GNG mag. My GNG high cap, 450 round. Thing wiggles around like a wet noodle. It's ridiculous. That, and I know this mag is fine. It works every time. My gun Fits just fine every time. Doesn't matter. Always feeds. But with this gun, for some reason, it is like magazine picky. Like it will not like certain mags. And this is with the standard Warthog lower. So it's not that Josh did something and it changed the way it fed. This is with the gun. This is a gun issue. So that's just something to note. Supposedly, you use an M4, a M4 mag's gonna fit in an M4. Should feed every time. It should. It's like a universal thing. That's why so many people run M4s. You run out of ammo, just ask for another mag. Boom, they'll give you another mag you can use. But it kind of sucks. You pay $300 for an awesome gun, and then you put the mag in, and it doesn't really feed. Like you can't, and then it's very picky on what mags you get. So say once you get 5 of these PMags, which is going to be a lot of money, PMags are expensive. Once you get 5 of them, you don't really need to ask for extra ammo. But if you do have to ask for extra, like another mag from your buddy or something, you're running the risk it may or may not feed. And that to me is just game breaker. That's ridiculous. You're paying a lot of money for something to not be able to do something that this can do. Like that should just be a thing that works. You put the mag in and it feeds, period. But with this, not gonna happen. So with my rant over, that's just one thing that just completely really just bummed me out, because I'm a stickler when it comes to mags. I just want to buy a mag and it work. I don't want to have to spend a bunch of money on a mag, and or it may not be that a single mag is expensive, but you're buying a box of mags. You buy a box of 5 magazines and only one works. To me, that's like you're just throwing money in the garbage. To me, that's just, it's not worth it. It doesn't matter how good the gun is if it doesn't feed. That's the most important part, is that it just feeds. It's such a basic thing, and for this to not do that, it just kind of really kills the vibe, I guess. But other than that, something I hope you take away from this video is that it doesn't matter how expensive a gun is. You don't need to spend a ton of money to get a quality gun. And especially with GMG, you can never go wrong with one of these. You buy one of these, it'll probably outlive you. I'm just kidding, it probably won't. But it's going to last for a very, very long time. And it does everything that this gun does. Maybe not have all the bells and whistles and all the nice little features and the super high-end parts, but there's always the possibility of upgrading it to the point where it does, which is what I'll get into next. Stay tuned for that. But it's so much better if you just spend, buy a good quality M4 and go out and play, than just worry and think you can't because stuff like this. As awesome as it is, I see a lot of people with these things, like just expensive, completely custom rifles, and that's kind of like a stage you get in after you've been in it for a while, after you've been playing for a while and you love it, and you're like, okay, I can make this better. Then you start investing in stuff. But before you start, the best option is to just get something like this and go play. You'll still have fun, dude. You may not have exactly the same amount of power coming out of your gun or capabilities and things, but that can come later. So I wanted to make this video in part just to say that you don't need the Gucci gear to have fun. You can get something like this, maybe beginner gun or budget gun, but the beginner and intermediate and advanced levels are based on you, not the gun, on you. You can buy a nice gun and still suck. it's you. You have to put the practice in, go out there, have fun, play a lot, and then as you become a better player and start advancing and getting better and starting to realize, okay, I can do this better, but the gun, I'm getting better than my equipment. And then you can start slowly upgrading your gun to meet your level of profession or whatever you want to call it. So, takeaway is, custom guns are awesome, but you don't need them. As cool as they are, you don't need them. You don't even need a gun for that matter. I think I've mentioned it before, but if I haven't, you don't even need a gun. All you need is you go out there and like a foam sword. I'm pretty sure you can use a Nerf gun too if they allow it. So just have fun. Go out there and play airsoft. Quit watching my videos. Go out there and play some airsoft. Rent. Go and rent a gun and have a blast. I'm telling you, it'll be awesome. So again, thank you, Josh, for letting me have your rifle for this video and helping make this video possible. I have a lot of things, a lot of ideas coming up next for other guns I will be reviewing and comparing and things like that. Yeah, I hope you guys just have a awesome Monday. I plan to upload next Monday, so make sure to be there or be square, whatever you're into. Have a great time. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.